Yo, Richard.
What's up?
Where were you?
It's a little personal, don't you think?
I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries. Speaking of which, did you see Disney Plus finally fixed that Simpsons aspect ratio issue?
Yeah, man. I'm not sure you're using speaking of which correctly, but that's awesome. Finally, the Duff joke that everyone uses as their example of a joke that was ruined is back on our screens.
Oh, yeah, man. And I tell you what, I watched a lot of Simpsons in my day, and watching it now, it's still really funny.
Right. The Simpsons is funny. That's the conclusion you've come to.
No, obviously. But, I mean, at the same time, yes. Like, The Simpsons is so funny. In 400 years' time, it's going to be studied as a piece of literature the same way Shakespeare is now.
Totally. You can take any joke from the show and just unpack it, and you can find layers upon layers.
One of my favourite gags is when Homer is having dinner with Mr. Burns and his estranged son, and Burns asks Homer,
"You, food bag, do you have a son?"
"Yes, sir, I do."
"And is he a constant disappointment? Does he bring home nitwits and make you talk to them?"
"Oh, all the time. Have you ever heard of this kid Milhouse? He's a little wiener."
Yeah, Homer's always ragging on Milhouse. Solid running gag.
Oh, but it's so much more than that. I mean, if I was writing it, yeah, I would have just gone, Homer makes fun of Milhouse. Cool, good gag. But no, it's taken a step further, and for some reason, Homer asks if he's heard of Milhouse. And it's such an absurd way to phrase it. The implication that Homer thinks there's even the slightest possibility that Burns would have heard of Milhouse is infinitely funnier than just Homer makes fun of Milhouse. It's like every joke in the show is funny, and then the writers think, okay, how can we tweak the wording to just make it even better?
Speaking of Milhouse, the "why did I have the bowl, Bart" joke kills me every time.
Remember the time you ate my goldfish and you lied to me and said I never had any goldfish? But why'd I have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl?
Milhouse thinks he's outsmarted Bart by finding a flaw in his story, but by buying into the story originally, he's already lost.
Oh, Simpsons jokes are all about the implication. The things that go unsaid or what a certain character's reaction is can tell us so much about their personality or their beliefs or their intelligence.
It's like the stuff you fill in the blanks with in your mind is funnier than the joke.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not hearing how big the seed bell Mole Man is offered isn't as funny as Mole Man realizing he's in over his head by ordering it. And that's even funnier than him just ordering a massive seed bell in the first place, which is already funny.
"I need the biggest seed bell you have." "No, that's too big."
Yeah, and look, I don't mean to venture too far outside of the Golden Age, but the fact that Lenny and Carl have never discussed Mount Carlmore is funnier than the visual gag of Mount Carlmore itself.
I carved that one wonderful summer.
What did Carl think?
You know, we've never discussed it.
Yeah, it's the implication, man. I mean, something that's funny on the outset, but the real joke is a much more absurd and obscure implication of that initial visual gag.
Are we just going to sit here and tell each other Simpsons jokes we find funny and explain why they're funny, and in doing so effectively ruin the joke?
No.
Good, because there are characters I like, and I'd love to explain to you why they are funny.
Hey, go on.
Okay, so one thing I love about the show is just how rich the world of Springfield is. There's so many unnamed Springfieldians who pop up from time to time and just feel like such fully realized characters.
Just stamp the ticket, man.
Just Stamp the Ticket Man, a character named for a line he says once in the show.
Just stamp the ticket.
Okay.
But it just tells you everything you need to know about him. He doesn't have time for any of the main cast's bullshit.
Boob job while you white?
Don't touch me.
You sicken me. I doubt my son or daughter is that stupid.
Just Stamp the Ticket Man feels like one of my parents' friends in the 90s who called them bad parents for letting me watch The Simpsons was transported into Springfield, and they just do not want anything to do with the wacky antics of the week.
There's something funny about a character who feels like an outside observer to the world.
Oh, you know who's the best example of that, though?
Frank Grimes.
Yeah, Frank Grimes. Literally written with the idea, what if a real person had to put up with Homer's bullshit? And you know what? He fucking dies as a result of it.
Because I'm Homer Simpson.
If Just Stamp the Ticket Man is a real person who hates The Simpsons, Frank Grimes is a real person who doesn't understand why it's popular.
He walks around the whole episode questioning the internal logic. The Simpsons gets shit for being too outlandish these days, but even by season 8, we'd been to some pretty weird places.
You went into outer space. You.
Sure. You've never been?
Oh, yeah, man. I think by season 8, they earned an episode to be critical of how silly things were getting. And it's such a love it or hate it episode as well. I feel like maybe some fans of the show were offended that this character comes in and criticizes this world they've loved for 8 years. And plus, it's a pretty fucking dark episode.
Well, a show like The Simpsons can't be afraid of making fun of itself. If Just Stamp the Ticket Man and Frank Grimes are real-life people in The Simpsons universe, someone like Rod and or Todd Flanders represent the irrational nightmare of Simpsons shielding parents.
I said I don't want any damn vegetables. Oh, my freaking ears!
Yeah, like they'll just pick up bad behavior and swearing at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I mean, that's why my parents didn't let me watch it as a kid. They thought it was a bad influence.
And with those jokes, it's like they're looking their main critics in the eye and saying, yeah, you're right. This will happen to your kids.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of did freaking happen.
Hell yeah.
Shit, yeah. All right, shall we do this thing?
Yep, ready when you are.
Cool. I am recording.
Yeah, recording.
Hello and welcome along to the... Oh, wait, I can't believe we overlooked the best character, though. The one whose tireless efforts have brought us laughs for years.
The inanimate carbon rod. Like, every single episode that...
Yeah.
Oh, they were just about to show some close-ups of the rod.
Oh, stupid Rod. I got gypped.
Oh, homie, you should be proud. Only a handful of people have done what you've done.